Hello, and thank you for joining us for the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. Today on the program, Army recaptures Marte from Boko-Haram ISWAP fighters as multiple explosions rock Maiduguri, Borno State. Chairman of Police Service Commission insists that police misconduct led to NSAS protests, wants speedy trial of disciplinary cases against policemen. And later on the show, today's episode of Journalist Hangout midweek special is on destruction of road medians and what can be done to salvage the situation. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Sam Ibimere. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Another rough fight, apologies to Afrobeat legends Fela Anikulapo Kuti, is trending in the politics. This time, it's between Kogi's West Senatorial District Senator, that's Senator Smart Adeyemi, and Abia State Governor Okeze Ikpeazu are engaged in war of words. Babajide, I don't know, I went to Senator Smart Adeyemi, and I don't know what provoked such statement by calling the governor of Abia State a drunk.
The Senator Smart Adeyemi was trying to respond in kind to what Senator Inaya Baribe said about his governor. You see, the truth is, Smart would never have been anywhere near the Senate if not for Yabelo. Smart cannot win an election on his own in Kogi West without Yabelo. Yabelo put him there. So if
but he won earlier.
He had won earlier, but
okay,
the people had given up on him. They no longer like him. He's from my senatorial district.
Okay.
If he stands before me, I'll say it to his hearing, and I've said it repeatedly. Our people who are no longer interested in supporting him. That's why someone like Dino could come and defeat him. You know? But Yabelo as governor stood behind him, brought him back from his political doldrums and ensured that he won. Now, if Senator Smart will sit down in the chambers and watch someone abuse his political hero, he may be older than Yabelo, but Yabelo is his political godfather now. He's his father politically now. There's no doubt about that. He cannot stand someone abusing his benefactor. So he just had to respond. Okay, you have generalized. You said the young people in Nigeria are not prepared for leadership. You now gave the example of Governor Yabelo. That's a man who brought him back from political doldrums and brought him to the Senate. That's the man who helped him to even win in court. So he cannot sit down and watch you damage his political godfather, though he's much younger than him. So that was why in anger he responded like that. You see? The truth is, for me, even if you are a champion lover, as long as you get the job done, I'm not interested in that. It shows how petty some of our people in the Senate can be. Sometimes you listen to even the quality of the argument, even the Senate president, some of the things that he says, you'll be embarrassed. You know? So I'm not surprised that they could go to that gutter level. One, to continue to even describe Yabelo as a young person, I don't think it makes any sense. Yabelo is already approaching 50. So when we are talking about young people, it should be people who are below 40. If you want to use that example, how old was Saminu Turaki when he was governor in Jigawa State? What are we talking about? How old was Donald Duke? A man who is 46, approaching 50, you are still calling him a young man? Even the African Charter recognizes youth as someone who is not above 35 years. So Yabelo is not, if you want to use example, use young people as example, don't use Yabelo again. So Abaribe was wrong. If we take on his governor, not just his governor, his hero, the man who brought him from political doldrums, from imminent political death, brought him up. You now think he will sit down and allow you to abuse him? No. Abaribe makes sense a lot of times in that Senate. But you must realize that when you want to take on someone like Bello in that Senate, there's a smart Adeyemi who would never have returned to the Senate if Bello had not put everything on the line for him.
And so cannot just sit down.
And if he fails to talk, they will say it's not lawyer. That's the way we reason politically in our country. If for any reason he tried to behave, oh, let me be civilized, let me not talk, they will go and tell Bello that see the person.
That smart was there. They were abusing you. And
smart was there. You can see that this smart is not lawyer. You can see that this smart is not lawyer. After all that you did for him, that character got up abusing you, and he did not utter a word. He knew what to expect if he did not respond like that. In fact, Abaribe would have been further insulted if the Senate president had left the field open for both men, because I'm sure that even when he got home, that smart Adeyemi will still be pinching himself that I should have abused him more, just to show Bello that yes, I can stand up for you anywhere. But generalization is not a good thing.
What do you make of this distraction?
You use the right term for it, distraction. You know, sometimes, sometimes when the politics hits up like this, you need a little bit of a bit of comedy, as it were. I mean, that's the way I see it. Anyone who was opportune to watch the conversations yesterday, will really be very disappointed. Sometimes we get to refer to the chambers as hallowed. And you wonder if our lawmakers and indeed our leaders, political leaders, understand that word, or appreciate the real meaning of that word. The way we deploy language at times makes you wonder if those who are in positions of authority, understand that they need to be sober sometimes because the world is watching. The kind of language that was used yesterday, to me was really very disappointing on the part of the people or the politicians that we are talking about. Even the response that came from the Abia State Government House, to me, was also, it's like
is a fool.
Yeah, that I mean, you can make your point without getting yourself in the gutters. That's why I look at it, and I think that we need to elevate the language. Especially when we have conversations around topics, that border on the development of our country. We should not make fool of ourselves. So, watching that incident yesterday, I was disappointed, as a Nigerian. I thought that both parties could make their point without,
going
very personal and deploying language that is better reserved for the gutters.
All right, moving on now. It's redemption time for Marte in Borno State as troops heeded the charge by the Chief of Army Staff to recapture the town from Boko-Haram and ISWAP fighters. But explosion rocked Maiduguri, the state capital, with about 10 people lost in the process. Babajide, we said it 48 hours earlier. We played the track of the Chief of Army Staff actually giving those boys, giving them the push and urging them to march to Marte and to do their job. And we said it, we discussed it yesterday, and today I'm happy that at least there's a temporary reprieve for the people of that Marte local government.
Yes, the truth is the governor is determined, the army is determined, and the result is what we have seen. Marte had always been a no-go area. There are two Martes, the new Marte, which is where we captured. New Marte. We have soldiers. It used to be soldiers alone there. But the governor now relocated 500 IDPs to that new Marte because it's bent on returning life to that place.
Oh, He has returned them?
Yes, he returned them. But when Boko Haram attacked the place, both those, the IDPs and the soldiers fled the area. You know, now they've taken back that new Marte, but Marte town itself, Marte town is not what the army announced that they captured. That's
Is Marte town under Boko Haram?
New
Marte had always not even been inhabited by anyone.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I'm saying that before now, New Marte, we had soldiers in that place, but no civilians, just soldiers alone. The governor now felt, look, I need to bring people to this place. You know, I need to bring people to this place to begin to live here. He now relocated IDPs, 500 of them, to go to the place. And then the place was attacked. So those people fled. But the governor is determined that now that that place has been recaptured, whoever he has the heart to go back is prepared to assist them, take them back to the place. Because of the significance of Marte, is good for rice farming as well as wheat, because of the presence of the Lake Chad. All of those islands are good for agriculture. So this is the thing. Don't forget, the Chief of Army Staff said Marte and its environs, and he even mentioned places like Krenoa. Krenoa is the hometown of the Nigerian ambassador to China. He has not gone home since 2014. So what we want to see now, and he said up to Ngala, what we want to see now is how the soldiers push to expand the areas that in the past they simply left to the enemy. But you cannot also do all of that without having enough troops. There are so many ungoverned areas in Borno State. Most of Borno State, especially Borno Central, is only the local government quarters that people are living in. Other places have been left to the enemy to do whatever they like.
But this is like a good start.
It is a good start, and it underlines the determination of this of the current leadership of the army. You can see that those boys, they lined up the road with IEDs, but our army was already familiar with the antics. So instead, they detonated those explosives and were able to move in. Because what they did is, once they've occupied the place and they've looted the armory that you have there, they really have no interest in staying there for so long. What they did, they just left a few people, and our soldiers were able to kill 19 of the terrorists there, destroy 2 gun trucks. So if they destroy 2 gun trucks, that is to tell you that they had retreated. Because when they launched that battle, they came with 17 gun trucks. So by the time we went there to retake the place, we were able to destroy 2 gun trucks, which means that a lot of them had fled. They knew that we were bringing the battle, you know, because the battle was announced. So they would not really want to wait for us to come and finish all of them. They want to use their fighters elsewhere. So, but the good thing, we've taken that place. Let us see whether we can push from there to try to take some of the communities that for so long had been left to these guys. Now, you can see that the time when we were jubilating over the capture of Marte, the Shekau faction decided to attack Maiduguri metropolis by firing what the military calls indirect weapon. And the indirect weapon is either a mortar or rockets, because of its range. You know, while in flight it goes up and down. So it's not as accurate as a direct weapon, but it can cause serious damage. And as we speak now, about 13 persons have died. Inside
Maiduguri?
Yes, they stayed. There is a village behind the university. You know, the way Maiduguri is now, with the cooperation of the government, the army dug parapets, or what they call trenches, but because they are so deep, people they prefer to call them parapets. So those parapets ensure that Boko Haram cannot roll his gun trucks into the city. So they dug them. Some of them are about 10 meters deep, because I saw them when I went to Mafa the other day. They are very deep. You cannot drive into Maiduguri with your gun trucks anymore. So, knowing that they cannot invade the town on gun trucks, they now stood behind the parapet or behind the trenches, so that people understand what I'm saying, and then began to fire those rounds, those suspected mortar rounds, into the city, where they killed 9 boys who were playing football in Gonge, and then 3 others were said to have died, or 4 others were said to have died later. So that's the Shekau faction that carried out that attack. The other faction, the ISWAP faction, is the Albanawi faction. Those are the people who occupied Marte.
Sam, it's as if there's a new spirit within. We've always said it, that look, when you change the leadership, you know, that there'll be renewed vigor to fight. And from what we've seen, and from the charge the Chief of Army Staff give.
Yeah, a fresh impetus was expected, you know, when you give somebody an opportunity to prove himself, or you give a team an opportunity to prove themselves. This is what we are likely to get. I think that the response to the challenge we had in Marte was very swift, very commendable. Even here, you know, on this forum, we've never doubted the capacity and commitment of our soldiers. Oftentimes, the issue had always been, you know, the quality of leadership and the quality of equipment at their disposal. So it's good to see, you know, the development, the positive developments we have in New Marte. But like has been said, you have the larger, you know, Marte to contend with, and we want to believe that the gains that have been made will be consolidated. It's very important. We don't want to hear very soon again that we've lost Marte. What happened in Maiduguri, you know, for me, was a major distraction. Like listening to the governor, he did say that we had that kind of experience, you know, almost a year ago. When you make, on the part of the terrorists here, when you strike at that level, you are sending signals. You are telling whoever is watching that you can't, you know, be taken for granted. And I think that's the way. Yeah, that's the way, you know, terrorists operate. They want to strike fear, you know, into the populace. And I think everything should be done. And I believe that the military knows what to do to ensure that we don't have that level of attack on the place that appears to be the safest place, you know, within Borno State. It's a major challenge for the army, and I trust that the new leadership, you know, will be up to it. We expect, you know, a lot of synergy, and I think the reports that we are getting suggest that we're already beginning to experience that, you know, level of synergy between the army, the military, yeah, and the Air Force. That is what is expected. It's sad that, you know, we lost very young boys. Like we have always said here, these guys really don't care. I mean, no rules of engagement as far as they're concerned. They can use, you know, mortar on civilians. They don't, something that is meant for tanks. They deploy them on individuals. They shoot indiscriminately, and that's not what, you know, expect. So the best that we can do in this circumstance is to ensure that we just don't contain them, but that we win this war, no matter how long, you know, it takes. We can't live with terror. We can't allow, you know, our country to descend to the level of a failed state. It's sad that we have these, you know, skirmishes all over the country, but then we know that the biggest challenge we have in the Northeast, whatever needs to be done has to be done in terms of numbers of men, in terms of equipment. We don't have a choice but to ensure that safety, you know, of lives, safety of property, you know, is assured for Nigeria, and that's really where we can make progress.
Actually, from what we are seeing now, it's as if the most fortified states, I mean, the capital, that's Maiduguri.
Yes. Even now, so, it has more military formations than any other town.
So are you saying it is impenetrable?
No, I've not said that. Maiduguri has been invaded, I mean, attacked many times, not invaded. And sometimes they get as close as even the airport. So no one should say that they cannot get into Maiduguri. They can get into Maiduguri. But to launch an invasion, they can come on bikes. Like in this case, about three They use about 3 bikes and 1 gun truck. They can come on bikes. Sometimes too, even donkeys. They use donkeys and horses.
Yeah.
Those cows.
Yes, they use donkeys and horses. Sometimes they use cows. You see them, you see cows, you think, oh, these are just herdsmen. But behind them are fighters. They have all kinds of tricks that they deploy. But it is a city that is well fortified. But at the same time, anyone who lives in Maiduguri, because these rockets were landing in, if you've been to Maiduguri before, you know Lagos House. Most visitors, government visitors, that's where they are lodged. Even some of us have been lodged there before. That's the heart of town. So the rocket can land anywhere. The rocket that was fired with a range of about 3 kilometers from the location, because the rockets landed in 3 different points. So from the location where the rockets or the mortar rounds were fired, you can guess the range or the kind of weapon that they used. It's about 3 kilometers. So it means that outside of the city, you can actually stay outside of the city depending on the kind of weapon that you are using. Actually make life difficult for people who are inside. But you can't launch an invasion. It's not possible. At every point, if you want to come in through Dalori, coming all the way from Bama, coming to Maiduguri from Dalori, you are going to be repelled. If you want to come in through Muna Garage, you are going to be repelled. If it's Mafaro that you want to come in through, you will be repelled. Or you try to come in through Minok, the Benishek, Damaturu Highway, they will still be able to stop you. But you cannot guarantee that this kind of attacks cannot happen. But we've got to praise the GOC, Major General A.K. Ibrahim. A.K. Ibrahim is from Bama, is from Borno State. He was there, he got promoted as a Major General. He was familiar with the terrain. So his response was super, and with his convoy, they went to the area where the fire was coming from.
Really?
Yes, and they were able to suppress the fire, causing those boys to quickly retreat and head back into their Sambisa forest. Most of the attacks coming from Sambisa forest must be Shekau's people, because that's where he stays. It's these other guys who are in the Lake Chad area. You know? So we've got to commend them. The response, everyone will agree that the response of the GOC and the CO,
commanding officer,
yes, was very swift. It's the sort of professionalism, the sort of response that we want from the army. We have high hopes that with the change, and the fact that the person who is the Chief of Army Staff has also served in that area before. The Chief of Air Staff has served in that area before. The Chief of Naval Staff has served in that area before. So in terms of knowledge of the battle area,
the terrain.
They understand. So all that I will keep asking for them is the equipment to make things happen. They need to be provided with what is needed. The equipment, and as the Chief of Army Staff said, there is a big issue about overstaying of soldiers. When soldiers are overstayed in a war zone, their morale is gone. They want to see their family. They are human beings like the rest of us. So the Chief of Army Staff must do something to ensure that those who have been there for 3-4 years are replaced with other people.
Sam, there's a perspective that, look, this is more of socio-economic problem that cannot be defeated with military might. That most of these people that are cut off from the country, cut off, neglected, and infrastructure, but the government infrastructure is not, any presence is not felt in those areas. As a result, Boko-Haram is building bridging the gap and giving money, recruiting our youths, and it makes it look attractive.
That is correct, and that argument has been canvassed, severally. Poverty is a very good recruitment ground, for those who want to better their lives, So it's not a surprise that issues, around socioeconomic factors, come up as some of the reasons, that have been talked about as responsible. It's very clear.
They keep growing.
Available data out there tells you that the level of poverty is quite high in the country, but it is worse up north, especially in the northeast, and is understandable. I mean, this is a region of the country that has faced war in the last over a decade. So it is not getting any better. Even with the efforts that have been made, by Zulum, of recent, and even the former governor, it's like, just a drop in the ocean. So there's hunger, there's poverty, people are out of school. I mean, children are out of school. So it's a recruitment ground, very easy. It comes, with a promise of $5, you can get somebody join your troop, and it's common knowledge that these guys, will raid the towns, steal, kidnap, make money, and then they go back and then, pick these young persons. Sometimes kids as young as 12, 13, are recruited to join, the terrorists. It's a very big challenge, that we face, and that's why, listening to Burete when he was, at the Senate, talk about the socioeconomic, issues, which, he said, must be dealt with. So it's not just one factor, responsible for all this. There is a combination of factors, and these, socioeconomic issues are just one of the issues, challenges, confronting us in that area.
Okay. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Please stay with us. Now, Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Musliu Smith, has blamed the NSAS protest that rocked the country last year on misconduct of some officers. As such, he called for a thorough investigation and prosecution of indicted officers. Babajide, still thinking about what happened on the 20th of October last year, that dark Wednesday, or what they call it, Tuesday, and then identifying the main source, that look, these youths, what prompted this action? These youths were actually pushed to the limits to start a campaign. And that campaign of NSAS, the rally was just the climax. It started a long time ago. NSAS, hashtag NSAS on internet, it was trending.
I remember that the IG even promised to take drastic action. Then
Didn't do
anything.
3 weeks ago, I saw one video. I don't know, maybe the video is still trending on the internet. There was one downfall boss, and there were 3 boys. I think they were arguing with the police officers, the SAS guys, the former defunct SAS guys, that they were arguing, and the guys just, 3 of them just came out of the vehicle, and they just said, okay, we punish you. Next thing, they just cocked their guns. 4, it was like a firing squad, and they shot at those guys point blank. And I saw it, and I was like,
is the sort of irresponsible behavior on the part of the police that pushed people to support the NSAS protest. The boys and girls overstayed their welcome. They showed naivety, because at the time when government said, see, we recognize that your agitation is genuine.
yes.
In fact, the president said when he saw those videos,
Yes.
that he was embarrassed.
They have records, they have petitions.
When people sit there and say, oh, Jide, you supported NSAS, this, and I have no regrets. I have no regrets. Whatever happens at the end of the day, I have no regrets. I want a country where I can be proud of the policing system. That's what I want to see. Not a country where the police will willfully kill people. There was a video of a policeman saying, give me the honor of killing him. Give me the honor of killing him. And he shot the guy in broad daylight.
Give me the honor of killing him.
Yes, he was begging the boss. The guy, and it was an argument. Is that what we should continue to have? Many people, you see some of the hypocrites who sit on social media and say all kinds of rubbish. If they were victims of police killings,
Brutality.
a lot of them won't say the rubbish that they are saying, because we are selfish people. When it concerns you, that's when you feel bothered about it. My own younger sister, the son was a victim of SARS. And you expect me to sit here while we're analyzing and refuse to say the truth? No. That's not how God created me. So When it was time, when we felt it was time for them to leave the streets, on this same program we told them it was time to go. They didn't listen, and we withdrew our support. We told them, look, leave when the ovation is louder. That was the same thing that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu told them. But after the government accepted those 4 demands, they began to add other demands, believing that they now had so much power, you know,
like advocating for a regime change. Yes,
that they could force government to do anything. I even saw some of them were saying we have them by the balls. Now it is what we want that they must do. No, as determined as you are to cause some of those changes to happen, there are other people who are determined to make sure that you do not succeed. Now today, based on their naivety, even the gains that they made, who is talking about those gains now? Who is talking about those demands? A government set up a committee to look at your demands and begin to implement.
Of that department
was even enough. You said the president must talk. The president came and said SARS is disbanded. Today, the police has commenced the task of checking. I mean, doing the kind of medical checkup on those SARS men as demanded by them.
Today now?
No, they've been doing it. They are checking their urine for evidence of substance abuse and all that, and a lot of, if it is SARS men that you are screening their urine, you will find tons of them who are guilty of substance abuse. This is a fact.
Drug addicts.
There are some of them that you see, they even hobnob with drug addicts. They go inside their uncompleted buildings to smoke Indian hemp. So this is the thing. If you've been victims, did we not see the Kwara State governor? If people are think they are making a big deal out of saying they supported SARS, the Kwara State governor on foot, he led them to the police headquarters. He supported them. He marched with them. There is no decent person who would not want a police that is decent in every sense of the word. A police that will
even express sympathy towards their cause.
Yes.
And we tried. I got the document to Mr. President.
So you need to read some of the accounts of people who are victims of police brutality. People's dentition being removed. People confined to wheelchair because they were pushed from a story building by policemen.
If you've been following the judicial panel, if you've been following the testimony, gory testimonies.
Yes, so this is the thing. And if someone who is the PSC, a former IG of police, can admit that yes, this NSAS protest did not just emerge from nowhere. It is the product of irresponsible behavior on the part of some policemen who have given the force a bad name. Then who are we to say that it didn't happen?
Sam, they've even started again. We thought after there's going to be like a paradigm shift after the NSAS protests, not knowing that, look, the way not SARS is defunct now. Now, the Nigerian police force or other officers that are out there, especially in Lagos, the ones that I see, you will see some, they used to wear this white shoulder, this thing, like traffic officers.
Yeah, that's
anywhere they descend on, they'll just go to one corner and start stopping cars and collecting money indiscriminately. Now that SARS, the so-called SARS is gone, now the Nigerian police force, guys, they're still misbehaving. Yeah,
it still boils up to the issue of misconduct, and you wonder if the advice that had been given, the counsel that has been shared, has really, had any effect on the police force. The examples, you have cited in Lagos is just very, very minute. All over the country, especially the lower half of this country, you find a lot of irresponsible policemen on the highways, embarrassing.
Especially on the road to the east.
Embarrassing citizens. It's terrible.
Roadblocks.
Yeah, it's terrible. And
though we're not pronounced in the north, in this area.
Like I said,
that's why you see that many people up there did not really think that.
Anything, yes. Yeah. Like I said, it's the lower half of the country, sadly, not just the police, if you were very observant, you would have seen a video that went viral a couple of days back. That one had to do with even soldiers. You had luxury bus drivers who packed their buses and were protesting that they wouldn't pay 1,000 naira for each bus that was coming from the southeastern part of the country. So yes, the
military checkpoints.
Maybe checkpoints just placed on the highway. Sometimes illegal checkpoints. It's terrible. But back to the police, the police matter. It's very disturbing, and sometimes you wonder if this entire issue that we're talking about, is not hinged or related to the recruitment process itself, because sometimes you wonder if the right persons have been recruited into the police force, and if we have, in that sense, what kind of training have they been exposed to? So you have a situation where, especially the constables, the very young, the young ones in the system, the officers, sometimes you find very decent officers in the police, in the police force. So the challenge that we have appears to be, the lower cadres, where just about anybody, ends up there, and that is why we seem to have, this conflict between the Police Service Commission and the police, leadership. Sometimes there is need to query the recruitment, and selection process. Very important.
Even and if said that,
yes,
there are armed robbers in the police. So
yes.
Said so.
And if we don't do anything about it, I'm sorry, we're likely to return to under clamor, for some kind of reformation, to take place, within the police.
Because now it might be people calling for the reformation of the entire force. Now, the way we are looking at it is not as if things...
Even at that time, people said, look, it's not just SARS alone, But I can tell you that even within the police, many people hated the SARS men. Because a lot of them were rich, they were driving flashy cars,
they had access.
Riches that they cannot explain. And they were already very arrogant in their behavior towards their colleagues. So many people within the police even were happy what happened to the SARS men.
Because people struggle to enter.
Because
just like EFCC, many people, many policemen would lobby to get into EFCC. Many would lobby to get into SARS. And as soon as they become SARS men, their shoulders are high, usually very high. So many people within the police were happy that that was happening to them.
Because it gives them an opportunity to terrorize the citizens and extort money from them. So they think it's an opportunity to
so you see someone who does not earn a good salary, riding jeeps and all that, just because you belong to SARS. You take people to ATM points and you'll be collecting money. It takes someone.
That's robbery.
It takes someone who is daft to not know that there will be electronic evidence for you taking forces. Yes, you say transfer. Many of them have been arrested like that.
How are you going to transfer some money to somebody directly?
Yes, the evidence is there. You can always provide the evidence to your bosses.
That's why questions are asked about their level of sanity.
Okay. We'll take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Stay with us. And finally on the show today. Now, Journalist Hangout midweek special. TVC News Abiola Sholanke takes a look at the wanton destruction of road buildings in Lagos and how to address the ugly situation. Here is the report.
Medians are barriers that physically separate opposing vehicles on road and help stop vehicles from moving into opposing traffic lanes. They're often built at the center of wide multi-lane roads where they can be used to stop pedestrians from crossing the road at unsafe places. Although they are means of preventing drivers from crossing the road and colliding with vehicles moving in opposite direction, causing crashes. Medians are also used to limit turning points for vehicles and shift these movements to safer locations. However, However, decisions about what type of barriers to be used are based on several factors, including traffic volume and speed, vehicle mix, median width, the number of lanes, road alignment, crash history and installation, and maintenance costs. Kayode Okpeifa speaks about the importance of medians on roads in a city like Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital.
Yeah, I think it started sometimes in year 2000 or 2001 thereabout, shortly after the coming in of former governor Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Then there were two main issues confronting Lagos frontally: the issue of refuse disposal and the issue of traffic management. And one of the traffic engineering measures adopted then was to introduce median barriers to create better road discipline. And understand that median barrier itself is you will see it on roads generally, but the Lagos one was introduced then primarily to create order, discipline, and prevent people from driving against traffic. So it was put there to stop indiscipline. So it's a traffic enforcement strategy. It's a traffic enforcement instrument.
In major areas, we find some road medians painted in black and white and wonder if they're just there for decoration. No, they are actually traffic signs.
And that equipment you are driving is an equipment, it can malfunction. But however, it is dependent on the way you use it. And the other guy you cannot predict. So keep your road, drive safe, drive defensively. When you see a traffic device on the road, respond to what? Those traffic devices, you know they talk. Do you know those white and black thing talks? When you paint the road white and black, it talks because if you cannot see properly, the white will reflect to you. Because there is a black, the black will contrast it, just like you are with your camera. When you come at night, even when you are under any influence, you know, it can be, or you have eye defect, the white will shine to you, telling you there is a concrete. The black will contrast it. So when you see them paint white and black, don't put poster. If you put poster on the white, you are endangering somebody's life. Because when that person drives at night, he will not be able to see the reflection from the white. All those white paints are reflective white paints. The same thing with the median, the same thing with the post. That's why they painted them yellow.
But these road dividers are facing constant damage by residents of Lagos. The State Commissioner for Transportation, Frederick Oladende, described the interval between a road median and another.
It depends on the width of the road. So you have to, different roads have different characteristics. The most important thing is for that median to be visible, to be about half a meter apart. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you have very wide median, which we narrow down to create more space for people depending on the volume of traffic on that particular route.
Traffic engineering solutions. So they should be installed in accordance with traffic management thinking. It's not just there, like some people say, they just mark the road white and broken. No. It's purposely put there for a particular day. When you want to allow a left turn, you will leave an opening. Because for every left turn you see, creates traffic issues. Every time you see a left turn, it creates traffic. Right turn is always desirable. Left turns create, and when you now have two left turns, you create a lot of traffic. So where you have an access to a factory, to a petrol station, to a service system, you want to allow a break. When it opens to another street, you want to allow a break. But where it doesn't open, at least you can go as far as not less than 50 to 100 meters. You don't need, why do you need a U-turn? It's only in Nigeria you see people using.
The commissioner laments about the dilapidated state of medians in many parts of Lagos and what government is doing regarding the reconstruction.
Program now where we're looking at where these barriers have been broken and then we're putting in new barriers. So you look at Allen, you look at or maybe you look at Paja. So there's a series of programs going on to replace those barriers. And then when we finish the construction on Ojota, we'll replace those barriers too. So we're pretty much aware of the importance of these barriers. We're aware of the safety that we need to bring to our people. And we'll continue to do our but most importantly, if people destroy our barriers and we catch them, they'll pay for it. And if they don't, they'll go to jail.
He further explained that there are penalties for those flouting the laws on median.
See, it's unfortunate that we drive in Lagos, so there's a lot of erratic driving. And especially when there's a bit of traffic, you see some people cutting the median, trying to bypass and then trying to take one way. So this is unlawful behavior. This is not normal. And so we shouldn't say that because they're doing that, we should now go and build something special to prevent them. What we should be doing is enforcing the law. Cameras are more efficient in these areas, and that's why we're deploying, you will have heard of the Lagos State project where we're deploying 6,000 meters of fibers, and then we're bringing 2,000 cameras that will be across the whole state. So once we put those in, we'll be able to catch them more.
But safety can be enhanced by reducing the impact of vehicle collisions with the use of concrete road medians. While many in Nigeria find the city alluring, especially for economic reasons, living in Lagos, regarded as the third most stressful city in the world, can take a mental toll on road users due to traffic caused majorly by violators of median barriers. Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
Jude, this report reminds me of that road I pass through every day, Ogunisi Road, notorious Ogunisi Road. That's at Berger there. And when you look at what they've done, the commercial bus drivers,
the commercial motorcyclists too,
they've succeeded in destroying the medians there.
Yes, but the good news is the government is reconstructing those medians.
Yes, I noticed last week.
There is this point opposite this eatery.
Chicken Republic.
Yes.
Opposite grammar school bus stop.
They destroyed it.
They destroyed it and
now, and it's less than 200 meters to the U-turn.
To road safety.
Road safety. They cannot, like the Lagosians have no patience at all. They will now cause traffic because they want to use that point where the median had been destroyed.
Yes.
They now cause other people to wait and wait behind. And there are different places like that. We don't know when they do it. Those who want to get into Akiode, they destroyed it too.
Yes.
So we don't know what time of the day these terrible people come to destroy this media. But it's a good thing that they are being repaired.
I think
and it's a good thing
that it's bigger now, taller.
No, not really bigger. Not really bigger.
Oh, I saw it. It was high. Something.
Not really. You can see this is.
Look at
they've
it
repaired this one now. This is towards Ogba. Now they've said that they are going to put cameras. Yeah. Hopefully, they won't take time in doing that, so that they can make examples out of the terrible Nigerians who are destroying the medians.
One thing I've noticed too, the barricades. Governor Akinwumi Ambode spent millions. If you go to Ojota, the entire Ojota was barricaded before. But right now, they've stolen everything. If you go to Third Mainland Bridge, Adekunle, as you are descending,
they don't want to use the overhead.
Yes, everywhere was barricaded before.
You didn't cite the example of Oshodi. that's a very another good example. But we can't talk about a smart city, without talking about technology. And I think that's the brilliant aspect of what the Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu is trying to do. I'm sure by the time they're done with the cables they're laying over the city, and then we'll have CCTV all over the place. Maybe not over the entire country. The entire state.
We'll start somewhere.
It will help, not just in enlightenment, but also in terms of applying sanctions who break the rules. I think that's very important. It's going to take a while. Building a smart city is not going to be a week or a month's job. It could take the next decade. But the most important thing is that the foundation is being laid, and the examples should be made of those who break the rules. Yes. And like we have said here, the commercial bus drivers, the Okada ride, the bikers, we just have to find a way to contain them because they are the ones doing most of this damage.
They are the ones damaging. What is meant to protect lives, they are damaging them.
Sam Ibimere, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
And the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Toju, thank you for always being there. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. Don't also forget Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Yes, 2 hours on Sunday, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.